Hi, you guys. Welcome to my little paintbrush. It is soccer season and we need to paint a soccer ball. So I'm super excited that you're here with me. This is such a fun painting. It's easy, but it has some really cool techniques when it comes to dry brushing and learning to paint grass in a really easy way that looks realistic. I hope you have our paint kit because if you do, you're going to have all the supplies that I'm using today. Your canvas is going to be prepped. You're going to have the exact same colors and you're going to have the exact same size brushes that I'm going to use. If you don't have our paint kit, you can hop online, mylittlepaintbrush.com, and you can grab it. We can ship it right to your door, and you can paint with us at another time, or just grab the supplies you have on hand and let's paint together. Let me show you real quick the brushes I have and the paint so that you'll be prepared if you don't have our kit. First of all, this is what my palette looks like. I've separated my colors out as best I can. It's a really simple palette, but it's gonna pop and be super fun. We've got fluorescent blue, phthalo green, chrome yellow, white, and black. Really basic colors here. For my brushes, these may look a little different than the ones that you got in your paint kit, but they're the exact same size. I've got a number 12 flat. It's called a flat because of its flat head. I have a number, let's see, this is a 6. Yes, I always think it's an 8, but it's a 6. This is the number 6 round because it kind of has a little point, but it's a little bit more bulky. And then a number 2 detail, which I always have on hand. It's a great size for those little lines. I also grabbed 2 jars of water. It's always good to have one that you can kind of clean your brush in and then another that remains pretty clean water throughout the painting. In case you need to dilute your paint, you have that clean water instead of that dirty water. I also have a paper towel or a rag, whatever you have on hand to kind of wipe your brush out. Okay, I think that's everything. Let's dive right in and get this painting started. I'm going to grab my flat brush and I'm going to get it wet in some water. A lot of people don't realize this, but acrylic paint needs water right out of the tube, right out of the jug. It is not ready for your canvas or your paper or whatever surface you're painting on. You need water. So always get that brush wet. That'll help you kind of get the paint diluted and moving along. So I've got it wet and I'm going to scoot some of my white paint over to my blue and I'm going to start mixing that together. And what I want to get, it's not wanting to come up here, it's a nice sky blue. So this is at your discretion. You can go a nice dark blue. You can make it a night sky if you want. I'm thinking this is a spring afternoon, probably a Saturday. And I'm sitting on the sidelines watching my little girl play soccer. So I'm going for that nice afternoon blue sky. Once I have that, and I didn't mix it super well, I kind of like when it's not all combined. That way, maybe leave some streaks on my canvas, and I like that. But I'm going to start filling out my background. I'm going to kind of go in the direction of my ball. Later, we're going to add some almost like ripple marks. This creates the idea of movement. So we're going to kind of circle it so our paint is going in the direction of the ball. Now you might notice that I am not painting on a canvas, which if you have our paint kit, we paint on canvases, but whenever I do these recordings, I use a mixed media paper. There's a lot of reasons for that, but mostly it's so that you can have a good view, a good angle, and I don't have to store tons and tons of canvases every time I do a painting. So I don't have any edges to wrap or to go around, but you might. So what I want you to do, and I'll show you with the original piece here, is I want you to take your paint around this part of your canvas, okay? This creates a nice completed look so that you can display this on a shelf, you can hang it in your bedroom, and you don't have these incomplete edges around your canvas. We're going to take it all the way to the base of the canvas. Even though we know that we'll be painting grass in, we want that blue sky in the background so that when we're doing those, I can't even think, sprigs, blades, there it is, my poor little brain. Those blades of grass, we can kind of see the sky behind some of them, okay? So we're going to take it all the way down. If you're wrapping your edges like I'm suggesting you do, you don't need to wrap the base of your canvas because it's going to need to be green with the grass. You can see how I press my bristles flat as I get up close to the edge of my soccer ball. If you do that, you're going to get a nice clean edge, a nice clean line where paint meets that pencil where your soccer ball is traced on. See how I just press my bristles flat, then I slowly, as controlled as I can, go around the ball. Now, I have quite a few years of painting experience, so if you're struggling with that concept, take a deep breath, be patient with yourself, you will get it in time. It just takes practice. I'm doing it on the other side here. Now, I tend to paint pretty quickly during these videos. A big part of that is I'm surrounded by lights. And because of that, my paint dries at a much faster pace than yours does. And so I'm having to move a little bit more quickly so I can get that blending in and I can get those layers in before it gets too sticky and dried out. So if at any point you're feeling overwhelmed with the speed of this painting or this tutorial, please, please, please feel free to pause it, rewind it, whatever you need to do, okay? We all paint at a different pace, and that's okay. There's not a wrong or right pace to keep when painting. The biggest key is, are you enjoying it? Are you happy with your results? Did you feel relaxed while you were doing it, or were you rushed and uncomfortable? All those things matter. So pause if you need to. Okay, our background is in this beautiful blue sky. I'm just going to pull this mixed media paper a little bit tighter. That's kind of one of the downfalls, is I am going to get sort of this warping happening. So it'll get a little bumpy on me, which it won't for you. Hopefully you're painting on a canvas or wood surface. That's not going to have that same effect. Anyway, there it is. It's all set. I'm going to wash my brush really, really good. And I'm going to paint in the black portion of our soccer ball. Those would be those octagon shapes. I'm going to give my brush a good wash, but I don't have to be super picky because I am going to load with black and it's going to hide any blue that might be left in my brush. Your canvas is white, so painting the white portion of your soccer ball is completely up to you. If you feel like you want to brighten the whiteness, or maybe you got some of your background into those white portions, you can go through and you can clean it up with white paint. I'm just going to focus on the black shapes and leave the white as the background of my surface. All right, so let's load our brush with black paint. I'm mixing like this because I've got water in my brush and I'm diluting my paint with the water that I have in my brush. So that's just a little tip. If your paint is diluted to the right consistency, it's going to flow off of your brush so much better than if it's thick and sticky. Now, usually I go top to bottom when painting, but I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go bottom to top. The reason for that is I want the black down here to dry quickly so I can do my grass. And so we're going to start with that. This shape right here is going to be my first black one. Again, the grass is going to cover a good portion of this, but we do want some of those details of our soccer ball to come through the blades of grass. I'm using the shape of my brush, my flat squared off brush, to get these corners in as best I can. But I want to remind you that it is a painting, not a print. I say that a lot because we are so used to graphic images that have been computer generated and they're just perfect. There's no flaws. And so we tend to not appreciate these hand painted and perfected pictures because we're just not used to it. And so if it's not perfect, we kind of tell ourselves we messed up. So if you have a line that's a little bit wobbly or curvy or just not perfect, remember that this is hand painted and it's going to look like that. And that is okay. Okay, let's jump to our next one, which is this guy right here, kind of this funky looking shape. We've got our ball on an angle here. It's round. And so this shape is a little bit trickier to get in. One of the hardest parts, I think, is keeping the circular shape of our ball while we're doing this and keep it nice and round as we go. I think that's a little tricky, but we're going to get it. This one, we're just going to kind of meet up here with this line. Now, notice I'm sticking with my flat head brush. You might be thinking, oh, I cannot get this tiny little space with this flathead brush. I need to switch, and that's fine. You switch whenever you feel like it's necessary for you to. I find that a lot of times, newer artists especially, they like that small brush. It just helps them feel a little bit more in control, and that's totally okay. You can switch your brush anytime you want to. I just would suggest don't use your detail brush unless your space is really small. Otherwise, you're going to have quite a few brush stroke marks within that, and you're going to damage your detail brush. I'll probably switch to it though for a smaller section, and that's totally okay. Let's do this one next. This one feels a little bit more doable after feeling like I just did this small one. I had to really study up on my soccer balls because this just didn't make sense to me, the pattern that happens, but I think I got it. I'm a mom of all girls, and so, you know, I've only have one that's been interested in soccer, and she's my last one, my youngest. So I really haven't had a ton of experience in the soccer ball world. So I had to kind of do a little bit of soccer ball research before I did this painting, but I think I got the pattern right. You guys, of course, will have to tell me if I didn't, which I know you will, and I love that. All right, we are just cruising along here. This, I think, is probably one of the trickiest steps because we're trying to get everything in there right. And then once we start going on the grass, it's just going to come together really fast. We have 2 more sections of black. This one up here, kind of towards the top of the ball. And I'm going to brave it out and stick with my flat and hopefully not regret it. I just really like that squared off angle that it gives me. Oop. I should mention though, we're going to go through and add the black lines to the rest of the ball. So in that moment, when we're doing that, if you feel like you need to clean up any of these lines with a finer brush, you can do that. This is that part I was talking about where we keep the ball around going in circles. You know, you can always get your background color though on your brush and clean up the ball if you feel like it lost its round shape. Circles in general are tricky, and I feel like when you're trying to keep it, you know, round and you've got rotating colors, it's even trickier. Okay. I think I've about got that section where I like it. I'm going to come back and clean that up with the detail. I don't want to try and tackle it with this. Drop that in my water. I'm going to get my little number 2 brush out for my final black section because it's this V shape right here and it's itty bitty. And so I want to use my detail brush for that. And there we go. We did it. Oh my gosh, this is also black. I'm looking at my reference and I'm thinking I'm missing something, and I am. This big one is also black, of course. See, that's what I'm talking about. I don't have the soccer ball experience. All right, let's paint this last big one, and then we'll get our detail brush and we'll do the lines in here as well. And then our ball is pretty much done. We're just going to do some little dry brushing when everything's nice and dry. This shape is so much more doable after you've got all those weird ones on the outside. Yes, this looks more like a soccer ball. We would definitely have missed this guy if we hadn't realized he was part of our black sections. Okay, concentration. There we go. Now we've got all the black sections done. We're going to take our detail brush and we are going to follow the pencil lines within the ball to really define those additional white shapes. The biggest tip when it comes to detail thin lines is make sure that your paint has an inky consistency, or like I say a lot of times, a melted ice cream consistency. So it's not like milk, it's not completely wet. It has a little bit of give to it, but it's thin enough that you can go across your canvas without that brush stroke breaking. I promise you it'll change lines for you if you learn how to dilute your paint, okay? So I'm going to take my detail, put water on it, bring the water over, and start to mix that water into my black paint. And depending on the weather, the temperature in the house, this might take a few scoops of that water or drops before I get the consistency, and it may happen with one. So for me, I've got a lot of lights, a lot of warmth around me. I'm having to do it a few times, but if you can see, we've got a little bit of a bounce there, and that's what we want. And once you have that, make sure you don't have any big drips coming down the handle of your paintbrush. You don't want to have a run in your canvas by any means. Once you have that, we can start with our lines. Okay, so first I'm going to come up here, and you don't necessarily have to outline the initial shapes that you filled out unless you're like me and you feel like they need some cleanup work. I'm picky after I just told you to accept the imperfections, but you know, we're all doing our best, and I just got to clean that shape up a little. Okay. Now, let's just follow our pencil lines as best we can from one corner to the next. Nice and slow. Do you see how my stroke did not break that whole time? I was able to flow with the shape, with that line, and not reload my brush. That's what you want. If your brush stroke is breaking in that short of a distance, you need to thin out your paint some more with water. That's kind of an indication. It should be able to take that distance, no problem. Now, if it was a longer line, even with diluted paint, it could be tricky. Let's fix that up. But these short little lines, you should not break your stroke. So if you are, that's how you'll know, okay, my paint needs to be thinned out some more. And this is all about pressure. If I push really hard on my brush, I'm going to get a thick line. If I'm a little more gentle with the pressure, I'm going to get a thinner line. So depending on what you want, get your pressure in check, and that'll help you kind of figure out those lines and make them consistent throughout the soccer ball. You don't want to have a really thick line here and a really thin line here. Kind of want to have them cohesive if you can. And see how this ball, it just slipped just so quickly, is coming together. Oh, we went right outside the ball. Good thing there's going to be some grass there. Now, don't worry. Outlining the entire soccer ball is not part of this lesson. If you choose to do that, I applaud you. We are not going to do that today, though. Okay, whew. That's basically it for the ball. Like I said, we're going to do some dry brushing, but that's going to come after our graph. While we make sure that this ball is nice and dry, the black especially, I am going to get my flat brush, make sure it's really clean because I had black paint in it last, and I'm going to make those ripple marks that I told you about in the beginning. So I'm just going to load with the background color really lightly. My brush has quite a bit of water in it, and I want that so that I get a good flow. And then I'm going to put the corner of my brush in white like this. And I'm going to take that corner and I'm just going to sort of blend these ripple marks. And I want to ripple them out like this. So I want to have them kind of go out. Picture dropping a rock in the water. And as that rock is going into the water, it is rippling and causing little ripples throughout the water. And that just indicates movement, right? And so we're playing off that idea with these white strokes of paint that, oh, this ball could be moving. And how fun is that if it is? These can be as dark or as light as you choose. They can just be very, very sort of barely there, or you can really go crazy with them. I'm just mixing a little more background blue because I want to make sure that I blend them in a little bit. Typically I would do this step while my background is still wet, but sometimes with these lighter colors, it's more tricky to do that. So I decided to do it after it's dry. So if you feel like your white ripples aren't showing up, or they're just becoming white streaks and you want them blended more, you totally can just make more background color and blend those in a little better. And this is fun just to kind of learn blending and learning how to create dimension. This helps our background not be so flat, you know, just a flat blue background. Instead, we're putting these ripples in it. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. Again, it's a little more tricky when the lights are on and the paint is wet and it's light colors. But hopefully you can see. If you can't really recognize what I'm doing, go look at the reference photo that you have with the paint kit, or you can find it online on our website. And that photo might help you kind of reference these ripples a little better than what the camera is doing with the lights and everything. Okay, fantastic. I'm really excited to teach you guys how to paint grass because I love painting grass. It's one of my favorite things. I'm just gonna make sure the base of this ball is dry, which it is. Okay. I've got my number 6 round and we're gonna have some fun with this grass, okay? Let's first make a nice dark green, but we wanna bring in this yellow because we want a limey green. This is, like I said in the beginning, this is phthalo green. And believe it or not, if you just mixed white with phthalo green, it would become a very turquoisey sea kind of blue. And so we really utilize yellow when we want to go warmer. So this is a nice dark green. I'm going to add a touch of white to it though. Mostly for coverage, I want this first layer of grass to be nice and dark, okay? But green and yellow, these are sort of difficult when it comes to coverage, so the white's going to help with that. All right, I like that. Okay, let's add some water. I'm going to mix in water with that paint, dilute it a little bit so I can get a good grass blade. Awesome. And now I want you to think about this ball sitting in the grass and the blades kind of encircling it. Okay, so we are going to push the blades around it. But then in the front, we're going to have some shorter blades that just stick up. So you're kind of viewing this at this angle. You can see the grass circling it and a little bit out at front as well. Okay, so take this color. If you have a canvas, I want you to paint the base of your canvas with this color. I don't, so we're just going to start painting our blades of grass. I'm going to pull these up, okay? I'm going to curve them upwards like this, and I can go as high really as I would like to on this side. But I want them to get shorter as they get to the center, okay? So I'm kind of pulling them up high a little on this corner, And then as I get to the center, they are going to get shorter. Now this is just a first layer, so don't panic. If you're not getting great coverage or anything like that, this is just layer number 1. If your brush stroke is breaking a little bit at the top of your blades, kind of like I'm getting, add some more water to your brush. Okay. As we come across, we're going to keep curving this way until we're kind of in the center. Then we're going to start going up. Okay, so we're going to keep curving, 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 and then we're just going to go straight up, and it's going to get shorter. Our blades are going to get shorter in the front, and they're going to go straight up. Then, once we pass the center, we're going to start curving the other direction. Okay, so straight up in the center, and then we start curving again. Gotta mix some more water. Yeah, it's super warm in here, and so my paint is seizing up on me pretty quick. Okay, so now we're going to start curving this direction and then get higher and higher as we go. Okay, so we're pressing at the bottom of our blade. We're using all the force of our brush, so we're pressing all the way down, and then as we get to the top of our blade, we're going to loosen that so that it flicks away and gives us the point. Okay, so pressure at the bottom, and then it flicks away towards the top, and that's how you get that nice point. Straight in the center, curving on the side. One thing I think people don't realize, and that's hard to remember, is acrylic paint requires layers, as does pretty much any medium of paint. You're not going to get the result that you're hoping for with one brush stroke or one layer of paint. You're going to have to go back and forth and work on it and work on it and work on it until you get that. Okay, so you're going to look at this and be like, well, this isn't what I want. This isn't the result we're going for yet. We have to keep going. We have to add the extra layers. Okay, that's just the first one. So first one in. Now what we're going to do is go in with a second one, and it's going to be a shade lighter. Okay, so we're going to get some white and we're going to lighten our green. Now if it gets too turquoisey, we can pull in some yellow to keep it in that lime green family, and that happens because, again, that phthalo green tends to go pretty cool. So this is a good shade. Add your water. This is when that clean water comes in handy, because you don't want to dilute such a bright, vibrant pink color with dirty water. It will really affect it once it dries. So I'm having to add quite a bit of water, guys, to my paint. I've kept a little bit of the darker blade color just in case I overdo it with maybe this shade and I need to go back and bring the dark back. You want the dark in there. You want to tell the story of shadow and light. You just don't want to overtake all the dark. Okay, if your grass is not dry, take a minute, fan it, blow dry it. You will want it dry. If it's too wet, you're not going to be able to get this next one in, and you're going to want that. Okay, so here we go with our next shade. Again, I'm not trying to take away from my dark grass. I want it there. But I also want to introduce this light color. Okay, pull some of that grass up, especially right here where we have the dark black portion of the ball coming through, you know. We want to be able to see that the grass has depth there. So you can already see that it's starting to tell that story of the different shades of grass, the different light and dark that's coming through, which is really fun. It's really exciting to watch that happen. And I think that's why I love painting grass and I love painting clouds, because they really just kind of tell that story so well. It's like you can really see the light and the dark happening. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry for a minute and do some of our dry brushing in our ball, and then we'll go back and do the last couple steps of really lighting our grass. But I hope you're liking how this is turning out. It's super fun to see and to learn how to paint grass, because once you get it, it's like palm trees. It's just like, you just want to paint them all the time. So I'm going to come back to my flat and I'm really going to try and get all the water out. Dry brushing is exactly that. It's taking a paintbrush and painting with it dry. So like I said in the beginning, acrylic paint needs water. This is a time when it doesn't. Dry brushing is basically scuffing your canvas or your surface. You're trying to introduce texture onto your surface. So this is pretty dry. It's not perfect, but it's going to work just fine. And what I really want to do is just add some, like I said, texture to our ball and to show that it's been used. It's not a super clean, perfect ball. I'm going to put a little bit of white on my brush. And when I say a little bit, I am not joking around. It is not a lot, okay? And it's just on the tip there of my paintbrush. And I'm going to come to this shape and I'm just going to press and then pull away. See, just press at the beginning of your stroke and then pull away. And look at our scuffing. I'm going to do another one right here if I have enough paint for it to show up. See how we just scuffed it and it brought a texture, right? Let's do it again on this section up here. It's another one of those things that once you learn, it's just really fun. It's like, look, I'm creating texture on this flat surface that, you know, doesn't look like there's texture on it. Okay, last we're gonna do this section up here. Now I have great news for you, because some of you might be, we might just add a little right here. Some of you may be thinking, I did not get the dry brushing technique and it's not working for me. If that's the case for you, these are black shapes. Wash your brush, paint over the scuff, and try again. You can also scuff with black onto just a regular piece of paper to practice it. I say with black because the white won't show up if you're using white paper. And just kind of practice that motion, because it's really about pressure and how much pressure you're putting on your brush. Okay. Let's finish up our grass. I have a few spots that are wet, but I think I can work around it. The biggest hurdle that you'll come up against when you're working with acrylic paint once it goes into the drying process is it tends to get sticky. And once it's in the sticky phase, you're actually pulling the paint off of your surface rather than laying it down. So if you're going over a section over and over again trying to get coverage and it's not working, it's because you got to that sticky phase, and every time you go over it, it's lifting the paint instead of laying it down. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, now with the grass, I want to go into the yellows and then into the whites and just add all that spring sunshine, okay? So I'm really going to play in with the yellows and make just this crazy lime green color that's going to pop. This is where you want to be really careful. This isn't the color of grass we want. We just want to kiss the grass with this color. But we also have these two shades here that we have extra of. So if we kiss it too much, we can go back, right? But see, I'm just kind of, hey, there's some yellow in there. There's some sunshine somewhere. And see, even just right there, if I'm like, oh, I don't like that, I want to come in with my dark and pull that back out, I can do that. And that's what's so fun about this, is you can just go back and forth and just play with this grass. And really, like, the more playful you get, the more realistic and fun and colorful your grass becomes. So don't be afraid to have fun with it and just get those touches of yellow in there. I want to pull these all the way to the top like that. And to do that, I really had to get in there. So again, I'm going to come through with the dark and make sure I didn't lose that. I love it so much. I love playing with all of these colors, shades of green. So I'm just going back and forth right now. I'll go a little of the lime on there and I'll paint it in and I'll flick it up. Then I'll go back to this color and I'll flick some of that up. A lot of blending happening here. Just pulling all the fun shades in. Once you get that flick of your wrist motion down, it'll just be like muscle memory in your sleep. We'll be doing this motion. Come back with some dark and just say, oh, don't forget about me. I'm still here. Still here in the shadows. You can even, which I would do, I would paint grass blades kind of on the side too of my canvas. Wrap those as well. Okay, I'm gonna get some white on my brush. I'm just kind of going back and forth between these two because I do want just a touch of white, but white takes over just as quickly as black will. So I don't want that to happen, but I just want a little bit of that, like, pure, bright, you know, white coming in. I'll tell you this much, grass is trickier to paint on this paper than it is a canvas. It's kind of rolling right here and getting rolling fields of grass. But I love it. And it's really fun, right? It's just, I hope you've had fun. I would love to hear like some feedback from you guys. Like how was your grass painting journey? Was this your first time? Did you enjoy it? Did you understand it? Send me pictures. Tag us on social media. I'd love to see, love to hear, love to know about your experience painting all the things that we get to paint together. Okay, I am going to sign this. That is so important, you guys, because it really makes, it's that moment when you take ownership of your art, and you should, whether it's like, this is the best thing I've ever painted, or, you know what, I had a good time, but it's not perfect. Take ownership. You took the time to create, you sat down and you did it. So sign your name, any color, anywhere you want. gonna go black and I'm gonna go right there, right where everyone can see it. Make sure you wash your brushes, guys. Take care of those tools and they will take care of you. Thank you for painting with me today. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Check out our website. We have tons and tons of paint kits, all different subjects. We have lots of YouTube videos. There is a video for every paint kit, so you're sure to find something for you. And we'll paint with you again soon, hopefully. Bye, guys.